off air here. Now it says live. We're live! Hello, everybody. This is Britta Dubbels. How are you? And I am here with Sue Fellows. And welcome to Wednesdays with Britta and Sue. We are here every Wednesday from 12 noon to 1 o'clock Eastern to answer questions and to talk about spirituality and how it relates to the physical experience, and also how we're able to balance and bridge the two, because that really, in my truth, is the ultimate goal. And so this is why we're here. And hello and welcome everybody who's joining us, and hello Sue.
Britta. It's been a fun morning with just kind of techno stuff. It's always techno stuff, but you know, it always works out. And that is the really great piece to all of this. So hi, everybody. It's good to see you. Glad that you are joining us. And, you know, we're getting into one of my favorite topics here today in just a little bit. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Just a really quick reminder, if you're joining us over the webcast, which is off of our website, which is www.brittaandsue.com. You're going to see the live stream box, and directly to the right of it is a question and answer box. Submit your questions as we go along, or comments. We absolutely love to keep this as interactive as possible, and we keep scrolling through them as we're going along. So that is always a lot of fun, and always encourage you guys to join us. So I know, Britta, you had a couple of things you wanted to get into, so let's start there.
Let's do it. So by the way, today's subject is fear, and we will get to that in a few moments. But we had some really interesting questions. We had some really great comments, and you know, one of them was in regard to spirituality, and what was the exact wording of that, Sue?
I am trying to dig it up right now. So it's going to take just a second because, of course, the computer's being a little bit slower than it needs to be. It thinks it's Monday morning, and that's a cool thing. Okay. The exact wording on this was, I'm in the wrong one. Oh my gosh. Okay. Hey, my brain thinks it's Monday too. Right. Okay. This one came in from Jade, and what she had asked us, or what the message was, is I would like for you to discuss the growing number of snake oil salesmen in the New Age movement. I hear so many teleclinics with a quick and easy fix that leads to a sales speech. There are so many desperate people who have illnesses that I believe they're taking advantage of. And that is the question.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Sue and I could not actually, and
Britta, I don't mean to interrupt you. Do I sound okay to you?
Yeah, you sound
okay, because you
fine.
You are 100% robotic, and you're kind of cutting in and out. All right. So why don't you disconnect? We'll get you back in, and we'll just apologize to everyone. And, you know, it's one of those things, but we want you to absolutely be able to hear everything that's going on and to have a great experience with this. So let's see. We need Britta to come to get out, and I'm not sure. Oh, wait a minute. Talk again.
Sue, our tech at work. How am I sounding? Check. How am I sounding?
Horrible. All right, I'm going to kick you
Oh
out.
no.
I'm going to kick you out and let you come back in. All right, here you go.
Okay.
Bye, sweetie.
Bye-bye.
All right, don't you guys just love being behind the scenes with all of this wonderfulness? That, what would we do without technology? And then some days we don't know what to do with it. Always kind of a fun thing. And now I am just trying to get Britta back in here for a second. So my multitasking skills are coming straight up, that you guys get to see that and be a part of the whole brain work process. Yay, aren't you wonderful? And having so much fun with that. So not to get into too much while Britta is not here with us.
Hello.
And she's back. Yes. Okay, let's get her to talk for a minute and see if you guys can hear her this time. All right, sweetie,
Okay.
all you.
Okay, let's see. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Test, test, test. Hello, hello, hello.
Check, check, check.
Sorry, everybody. So sorry about that. But as you know, these things just happen. So yes, so in regard to Jade's question and comment, Sue and I were talking about it, and we both feel that this subject really deserves much more time. Much more time, because it is a big concern. It's a big concern for us as well, and so we really want to maybe do that for the next week, right, Sue? Did we want to do that for the next week?
Yeah, I think that sounds great.
Okay.
And I'm in total agreement with you that this is a huge topic, and there's so much for us to get into. There's so many questions that can come in for people that we really felt that it needed more than just a couple of minutes, but we wanted to acknowledge that we received it and thought it was a wonderful topic to get into.
Yes. Yes, 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 absolutely. Was in regard to spirituality itself. How do I believe
Houston, we've
in? Huh?
We got a problem, Houston. You're coming back, same thing, robotic, and now half the time I can't hear you.
Oh, shoot.
I know.
What's going on? So sorry, guys. That's a big bummer.
Oh, well, you're back now.
Good. Okay, great. Excellent.
Okay.
All right. Good, good, good. So, I can't hear you now. I see your lips moving, but
That's because I'm talking to the dog.
okay, good. So in terms of spirituality and you finding the belief for yourself and in yourself and into your essence and your truth, it's a little bit of a journey. That's why they call it soul searching. So I truly, truly, truly invite you to dive into it and take initiative, because this belief is not going to magically just going to shift and change, right? Because it's just programming. So to establish the belief in yourself, in your essence, in your light, in your connection with Source, however you wish to name it, is really something that's very personal. And if you pay attention to all of these segments that we have been putting out onto YouTube and onto the website, all of these steps, learning to master your mind, breathing through your emotions, getting in touch with your intuition, all of these small little steps will lead you into your truth, into your communication with yourself, into your belief in your truth and your empowerment. And, of course, consult science, because modern technology and modern science is so up to par and really uniting with spirituality, because they are proving that we have souls. They are proving that we belong to a grid and are all interconnected as energy. So there is so much for you to dive into, and please indulge, indulge, indulge. The more you can do it, the better. Just what I want you to be mindful of is don't put anybody or anything on the pedestal, and don't take anything for the gospel either, right? It's all about understanding that no feeling is final, nor is this truth final, right? Our beautiful beloved Rilke said this, and it is something very important to remember and hold on to.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to kind of give one little final thought that I have before we get into everything, next week, is to always remember that there can be 1,000 different modalities out there, 1,000 different people who are practitioners and are offering something out to, the public to help them. And it may not resonate with you, but it doesn't discount necessarily that it's a bad modality or that that person is, anything less than on their highest and perfect truth and trying to help people. There's, you've got to be discerning. What works for one person may not work beautifully for the other. And, that's just, kind of a base that if, and especially for Jade, I know you asked about it, anybody else that, really likes this topic and has questions, just kind of keep that in mind, that to be, as Britta said, discerning, learn as much as you can, but don't discount just because one part of that might not be good for you. And we'll just kind of leave it there for this week, and I think we're going to be... Oh, okay, Britta's now bleeping on and off the screen on my end, so I'm not sure if she was there or not. Boy, you guys really get a fun treat this week. But we're going to be getting into one of my favorite topics today, and that is the one of fear. Because, I mean, face it, who among us does not feel it, think it, have some sensations in their body because of it, pretty much on a daily basis? Fear is one of those wonderful emotions that has so many aspects to it and can hit you on so many different levels. And for me, it's a matter of addressing it not just spiritually, not just emotionally, not just physically, but it's a huge conglomeration for me that you have to take it on so many different levels in order to really master it, if you will, because the brain is one of those funny little things, and I know we've talked about this a lot, that, especially the ego brain or whatever, the logical brain, what you want to call it, loves to give you misinformation in protection of itself, in protection of you against all your stories, and that goes on and on. So it really is multi-layered of how to deal with fear. And for me, when we're talking about fear, it also goes beyond just fear, and it hits into different aspects, like anxiety type of situations, or even panic type of situations, and you can throw some kind of OCD in there, because those all have very similar roots, and they have very similar ways out of them. And, again, I'm going to say, what I just, said a moment ago about different practitioners. With all of the different aspects that we're going to talk about here with the fear, and how, some different strategies to help with you and different tools, choose what is right for you when you're hearing this. We can give you 30 different things, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have to take all 30 steps. You're going to take pretty much a good base start and then add in the tools that really resonate with you. And Britta, I can see you over there. You've got something to add.
So much, so much, so much. But again, coming from my end as the spiritual perspective, I want to take us all the way back into our essence, right? So from a spiritual perspective, you are entirely and completely fearless. The reason why there is fear is because the earthly dimension is a rather low and dense dimension to incarnate into. In higher dimensions and in our essence of our source oneness, we are just light. We are just love. There is no such thing as fear. But coming here into these human bodies, we give permission and we agree to incarnate and, as the bottom line, receive the fight-flight, which is embedded into the primitive area of the mind. This primitive area of the mind is where the fight-flight, the instinct that you already see when you're looking at a baby, for example, you know, so they reach if they feel like they're falling, they cry, it's you know what we agree to have as a survival instinct within the human body. From there, just looking at the fear that is already there, which is a part of the fight-flight, which is the normal embedded, right? That is the fear that alerts us, alarms us, if there is really something wrong, if there's really something to be fearful of that may threaten your life. This is a necessary and important and good fear for us to have. Anything above that is created, is an illusion, and I don't want to minimize fear because it's very important that we all agree on and come together in the understanding that fears feel so real and they affect us and hold us back as if they are or were real. But in truth, they're not real. So I'm going to pause here and hand it back to Sue.
Yeah, I love what you said, because, you know, when you get to that point where, you know, and I'm going to say evolved, and it's a bad word, but it's the only one I can think of, that is the perspective that you're living and breathing, and you know that the fear isn't real. It is like the most amazing freedom that you ever could give yourself, and it just lightens up every day, and it really just makes life a whole lot more fun to be a part of. It's also something that takes a lot of practice. And, you know, it's my experience and the experience that I've had with most people I've worked with is not that it's just an instant flip of a switch. It's, you know, layers that you get to and different mucky things that are going on inside of you that you've got to get through before you completely embrace that the fears are just not real. So one of the things I want to kind of take it back more on a human level here, that while you're working to get towards that, one of the best things that I have found, and a great place for people to begin working with themselves, is really becoming the clear and perfect. And I know Britta has talked about this during these series a lot. And one of the ways to get to that is really watch what you're putting into your body. And by that, I mean, you know, are you drinking a lot of sodas? Are you eating a lot of GMOs? Are you taking in sugar, gluten? You know, there are different chemicals that we ingest on a daily basis that can create crosswires between ourselves and our higher selves. You know, think about it. Have your cup of coffee first thing in the morning. Ooh, it's that great caffeine jolt. But you know what? That caffeine jolt is also messing up and messing around with the chemicals inside of you. And that can really create this disconnect in yourself and perpetuate a lot. So I'm going to say, you know, watch what you're doing. If you're somebody who's having a lot of fears coming up, keep kind of a log for a couple of days. See what you're taking in and if it has any kind of way to correspond with the fears that you're feeling or thinking. And if you can find a cute correlation, cut something out and see if that helps you to be able to find your connection to your source, your wholeness, your oneness, whatever it is you want to call it. And, you know, see if giving your body a break from it for a little bit might be a place that makes it easier for you to find the connection. Oh, and I see Britta, she's got something.
Yes, and in addition to that, also make sure you drink a lot of water to flush your body through, and make sure you move your body, make sure you exercise. Again, to assist the flushing through and flushing out of toxins. Also, what I find as an easy fix is to turn off the TV. Don't watch the news. Don't listen to the news on the radio. You know, maybe do it every other day or every third day or once a week if you can, because ultimately you're not going to miss anything. It's always the same. It's very fear-inducing, and it makes people feel like we're living in a very, very bad world.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And don't fear that you can't be a part of that or that you're going to not hear something major. That I hear coming back from people a lot is that they must stay connected. Well, you know what? You're on the internet right now watching or listening to us. Guess what? If something absolutely happens that you need to know about within the next couple of minutes, it's going to get to you. So just kind of don't listen to that part of your brain when it says, oh, but I cannot. You can. It's easier than you think. And oh my gosh, it is a big, huge freedom not being tied to your TV at 6 o'clock anymore to listen to all the horrible, bad things that have happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, and as you know, with talking with people a lot.
Oh, can you say that again? Okay, no, you're cutting out. Now I can't even hear you.
Oh no. All right.
Good.
Our magic.
You know, now you're robotic again. Oh, fluff.
Magic.
I'm going to try kicking you out again and having you come back through because it's going 1 second it's robotic, then I can't hear you for a few seconds, and then it pops back in robotic, and I'm not sure what experience everyone else is having. I'm just going to assume that it's the same one. So let's get you out. Okay, bye, Britta. And okay, so we're going to invite her back in. And again, same thing. Sorry, guys. Trying to... Okay. Thanks for bearing with us. This has been the first time we've encountered it quite like this. So we'll have to do a little bit of research and find out what's going on. If any of you know any possible reasons or why this is happening, or possible fixes that we can use to stop it from happening, please feel free to email us and let us know, because this has been a little bit of a challenge this time, and I know it can't be a whole lot of fun for you guys. And if you see that strange little black nose coming in, little one has decided that she must be up here with me today, so she's saying hi as we're talking about this. And you know, someday she just has a lot to say. Oh, look, Britta's back! Yay! He decided to have a lap, so that the nose kept coming up, and you could just see the bottom of it. So I felt like I really wanted people to know what that little black button was that kept coming across my face.
Cute. So sweet. Okay. Well, I hope this is, you know, this whole technical back and forth is not discouraging you guys. I know that you know, time is precious. But so let's get back to fear. Now, I am coming from the perspective of that fear isn't real unless there is a very good reason to your safety, right? If there's something really happening, then yes, of course, that fear is a part of a very important alarm system that is built in. But generally, fears are developed over time. And fears also build on each other. So a person that has begun to identify with a fear, so let's say, as an easy one, for example, somebody says, well, I have a fear of heights. Now this person says, I have a fear of heights, and that's just who I am, and yeah, I don't go onto tall buildings, I don't like to be on airplanes, I have a fear of heights. So now this fear will then begin to, Sue, you're cracking up, this fear then will begin to form more and further neuro wirings, pathways into more fears. So fears like company, right? They like more of the same, and fears will always bring in and invite in more fears. And so, of course, different fears have different origin, and not every fear is the same. One fear, like a fear of heights or the fear of water, for example, can be carried over from another lifetime. I have done many past life regressions with people where that was the case. Other fears can be born just by living. For example, the fear to fully open up and the fear to fully love. Most people have this fear because they have had some kind of an experience with pain, with hurt, with disappointment, with betrayal. And so if we look at fear for a moment as the untrue, you really want to understand that if you are serious about your light and your authentic empowerment and your strength, that you must face your fears. You have to face your fears. And you know, there's this wonderful saying that you know, whatever scares you, that's what you must explore, that's what you must walk into. So I'm going to stop it here and then give it back to Sue.
Yes, no, you had me cracking up, because when you got into the whole thing about the heights and the airplanes, you forgot to put bridges and overpasses in there, because those all kind of come into play with these types of fears. And, you know, the funny thing with the fears that Britta is talking about is typically they're irrational. And logically, you know that it's irrational, but you're so taken by the voices in your head telling you that this is life or death that you listen to them. And, the fear not only builds on other fears, but the more that you believe in it, and, if it is a fear of bridges, so to speak, and you keep avoiding bridges, all that does is intensify it. Every time you avoid a bridge, the fear gets worse and worse and worse. And it's, the same with any of them. And, when you're talking about fears of loving other people, a lot of people also have the fear of who they really are and of loving themselves. So it's not just, oh my gosh, I have arachnophobia and I can't be around a spider. These types of fears go, through so many different aspects, and really you can take any fear that you have and put it into this category that the more you ignore it and the more life and belief you give into it, it is just building it. It's never a case that you can be an ostrich, put your head in the sand, pretend it's not there, and it'll just magically disappear. It won't. It may stay buried under the sand, and you may forget that it's there, and you may think that you're free and clear, but one day it's going to come up, and you're going to realize that you're not. And so that's why it is really, really important, to go through the steps that it takes to face the fears. And, like I said, for me, it comes on so many different levels to support your spiritual self to get there. And, sometimes there are little brain tricks that you have to use, or, deep breathing, or whatever it is to support yourself to get to the end result where there is that the illogical fears are no longer there. Oh, I see Britta's got something here.
So if we look at the two choices, love or fear, love is your essence, it is your truth, and then the opposite of it is fear. Right? Fear is really what is the density and the low grade of this dimension. And so fear will drive resistance, it will drive blocks, it will drive what ifs, worries, doubts, really any and all of that which is not authentically empowered is driven by fear. And so to uncover the layers and the levels of fear that are there, like Sue just said, as you are on your journey of strengthening yourself, different fears will come out at different times in different situations with different people. Ultimately, what I would love to, and of course it's a lifelong journey, because for as long as we are here in this oneness, a part of the collective, right? A fear may even just pass through because you were just talking to somebody else who told you a horrible story about what happened to them, right? So to really begin your conscious work with your fears is to understand that, okay, even though it feels so real, even though it is real to me right now, I also want to be open to the possibility that is not the truth. It is not real. And so from there, asking yourself in any given moment when you are encountering fear, is my life at risk? Is there immediate danger to my life or a family member's life right now?
And I think the key word is real. It is not the imagined, the plane is crashing, I'm going to fly off the side of this bridge, a hurricane is coming through, trees are falling on my house. It's really the real, right this moment, not your perception of what may happen.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. So you already now are beginning to start the self-communication with yourself on your quest to strengthen yourself. Because fears will take away your strength. Fears will disempower you. Fears will keep you away from living your fullest potential.
Yeah.
Hands down. So,
absolutely.
If there is not an immediate danger that is actually real, now you can begin to work with that fear that you're facing in this very moment. And the best way to start is just to start breathing and relax with it. Relax with it. Know that this is not going to happen overnight. This is not a, in the moment, ooh, I'm going to free myself from all fears kind of a situation. You have to learn to relax with your fears and understand that the moment you learn to relax with them, you are now going to be able to rise above it. And through repetition, you will reprogram yourself out of the identification with these fears.
Absolutely, yes, it does. And it's sometimes in those moments when you're laying there at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and something is going through your head. It kind of goes back to what we talked about somewhere prior, and I don't remember which week, but you are not your thoughts. And in the same way, the fear is not you, it is not real, and you don't have to buy into all of it. Like what I said, if you can start breathing, and by starting to breathe, it's consciously breathing. And there's so many different ways to do it, and it's, for me, again, I'm going to say this part of it is for what works best for you. The one piece you don't want to do is don't hyperventilate and don't do like your panting breathing, because that is something that our bodies are very programmed to do when we start feeling fear, and that sets off a whole bunch of other chemical reactions in our bodies that we don't want going, because all of those things and the adrenaline and the rest of those chemicals that come up, we don't want any of this. This is the beginning stages of kind of quieting the body's response to the brain and the thoughts. So just with the breathing, deep, nice belly breaths if you can. If you can't do belly breaths, then at least take it in as deep as you can from the chest, and control the breathing. Super important first step when you're laying there or driving or whatever situation you're in, to try to relax into the fear that you're feeling, as long as you've determined it's not an imminent, right this second danger. Just kind of sink into it a little bit, breathe into it. One of the things you could try to do is imagine breathing in and out from your heart space and putting love around this fear. But these are things that will start to allow both your mind and your body to begin accepting and stop producing more of the fight or flight to get away from it. And when you can do that, that, for me, really allows you to start getting into the spiritual aspect of it, so that you can really, at that point, start believing that this isn't real, this isn't who I am, I don't have to be in this space forever, or even for 5 more minutes or 5 more seconds. That part of this really begins being in your control, And I've always found that to be such a great key, that no matter what your brain is telling you this big, bad, evil thing is, if you can start to find even 2 or 3 seconds relief from it, that then turns it around and starts giving you something to build upon to walk away from it. Oh, I see Britta's got more here.
You're so funny. Yes. And so I'm just going to back up one more moment because this is a very important point. So really, when you see somebody being very angry or even hateful, aggressive, these are really, truly, at the deepest core of it, a call for love, a cry for love, looking for attention. It's true, because all of us, in our essence, in our hearts, in the depths of who we really are, we're all looking for love. Yes. We're all looking for love. But because of what humanity has gone through, and because of all of the misunderstanding and all of the negativity that has been propelling the separation, we have all been programmed into fear-driven behaviors, right? And so, you know, it's as simple as a grown-up throwing a temper tantrum. You know, it's really just, you know, wanting love, wanting attention, wanting to be heard, right? But in that moment of the tantrum, we are not aware of that.
Well, you just disregard it.
Right, and so just in addition to what Sue just said, it's very important to, when you're having that moment where you're breathing and you're managing to relax and you're managing to create some separation, that in that moment you remind yourself of, okay, this is just a programming. Yeah. Even though it feels so real, it's just a programming.
Absolutely. And, you know, one thing, yeah, there's always a bottom line. There's always a root for everything. Don't feel like in that moment you have to figure out what it is. You know what? That comes in the following days or the following hours. It doesn't have to be right then and there, because, you know, if you're in the middle of having either a temper tantrum or a fear-based moments going on, and you're starting, okay, am I on, you know, you start looking for these things, then you're starting to judge yourself and judge what's happening, and that is just going to keep perpetuating all of this even more. So really your goal is to just accept as, you know, a neutral observer to what is happening, so that you can diffuse it in yourself and, you know, really get to the bottom of it at a later time. You don't want to add any more fuel to the fire, and that is so easy to do when you start putting judgment in there, because most of the time we judge ourselves as wrong, or, yeah, just wrong, and that's not going to help at all. Britta?
Yeah. Yes, 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 exactly. So then from here, the next step then would be, when you're ready, perhaps the same day or maybe the next day, you know, whenever you feel ready to go a little bit deeper and explore more, is for you to imagine that you're placing that fear, whatever that fear is, into your hands. So you can even hold your hands out in front of you and imagine yourself placing this fear into your hands. Or you can place it onto the table or the desk in front of you. And so imagine now this fear And so now look at this fear and understand that, okay, so this is the fear. What does it want from me? Why am I attached to it? Why do I need it? What am I really afraid of? What is this fear perhaps covering up? And you can even start talking with it, speaking with it. You can ask it these questions. Why am I holding on to you? What's underneath you? What am I protecting myself from by feeding you, by nurturing you? Right? So I'm looking here at this fear in my hand. And so really what this exercise is going to do for you, it is going to allow you to begin to become more aware. And by you asking these questions to the fear or into yourself about the fear, you will begin to hear answers coming from your subconscious, coming from your soul, coming from your essence, and you will begin to learn more about why this fear is there. What is perhaps even your secondary gain with it? Why has it been working for you in a certain way for so long? And so all of this information is very important, because in the end, once you have the information about your fear and why there's been a secondary gain, or why it's been useful to you, or what has it been protecting you from, right? Once you have all of this information, now you are going to have to really stay very present to this information and work with it on the mental level, on the emotional level, using your breath as you move through life, so that you can detangle yourself from the old ways of acting, thinking, speaking, reacting into where you really want to be.
Absolutely. And, you know, some of those, you know, what you just said about secondary gains, huge, huge, huge impact with that on us. And, you know, first instinct is to say, well, there's nothing. I don't get anything out of this. You absolutely do. You always have. You always will, as long as you continue to honor that. And that's one of those things, and I know Britta just said that, you know, you don't do that in the moment. And it may not come to you immediately, but just keep asking that question. It's definitely going to come up for you. One of the other pieces is a lot of this, a lot of times it can be an old memory being triggered. That, you know, just for example, you were a small child and there was a major thunderstorm near you and it scared you in that moment. You carried that fear with you and intensified it and acknowledged it up until you were an adult. You know what, maybe the gain in that point is that it allows you to find someone to nurture you the way that a parent did. So it's not always that the gains are very easy to find, but they're there. You'll probably be able to find some type of memory associated with a lot of them also. That's really can be helpful in trying to figure out how to walk away and how to accept these and how to break those patterns as you're going along. Oh, Britta?
Yes, absolutely. I think that was very important what you just said in regard to the memory, because remember, it's all programming. It's not really who you are. It's just the human programming, and so there was a time and a place when this programming began. Absolutely. So yes, it's really unraveling moment by moment, and then being able to say to yourself, okay, so this is what happened when I was 6 years old. Now I am not 6 years old anymore. So now I am giving myself permission to be aware of the fact that this is an old pattern, an old knee-jerk reaction, an old coping mechanism that I am no longer willing to support, nurture, feed, grow, because the ultimate truth is that you are in charge and you are the boss of you, and the fear is just an energy.
Yeah.
That moment you become aware of it and you question it and you look at it and you face it and you wonder about it and you go deeper with it, you will untangle it and you will dissolve it, because it is not who you are. It's a choice.
Yes. That is such a great point, Britta. I love that you brought that up, that it's not who you are. Because fears can become, in our heads, a big piece of who we are. And, you know, I think that you said it a little bit earlier, I just don't fly and that's all there is to it. And you accept it. And that can just be so representative of anything that you fear. And, you know, for the people that are having issues with loving themselves, loving others, a lot of key things that you can start to think of is, well, listen to how you're talking to yourself. You know, are you bringing up a lot of, oh my God, I screwed this up, I'm such a jerk, blah, 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 blah. You know, types of self-deprecation can be a great indicator that there's a fear there of either seeing who you really are or of loving who you really are. So it's, you know, we're really getting into a lot of big, broad topics here. You know, fear encompasses more than just I'm afraid of. It can really trace back to a lot of what's going on inside of you. Which again, you know, you start facing it and start recognizing, and I think that's a huge piece, is start recognizing beyond just the, okay, my heart is pounding, I'm breathing heavy, something weird is going on with the feed. But they're great ways and great indicators to you that these are places to start looking into and start seeing where you can do, you know, sinking into it, feeling it, breathing through it, and getting to a different side of it, which really gives you so much more empowerment and freedom to be who you really are instead of what your brain is telling you you are. Britta?
Mm-hmm. Yes, 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 exactly. And, you know, again, coming from the spiritual perspective of who you really are. Being here in a human body on planet Earth, you have given permission to be subject to the energy of fear. So that if there is a moment, in any moment, when you are not feeling fearless, peaceful, authentically empowered, clear, strong, whenever you're not feeling that way, but you're feeling negative or worrisome or doubtful or what if, or when you're playing with any and all of those realms, know that in that moment you are encountering the choice of fear. And so you get better at it. You get better at it. You gotta almost look at it as if it's a game, because it's really what it is, right? Oh, okay, I'm encountering fear. I'm encountering fear. Okay, all right. Haha, I see you. Okay, breathe, clear yourself, breathe, feel, don't think. Just, you know, clear
Oh no, now you froze.
yourself for a few moments and come back into
We have just had so much technical.
Am I back?
I think you are now. You froze there for a moment and then went robotic, and I think we're back. Oh, there you are. Oh, no, you're frozen. Speak.
All right, great.
There we go.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
It's going. We're fine.
Back?
We're back.
Back. So I don't know where it froze or where it stopped because I can't see it here. So what I want to get to is make it playful, right? Become a warrior and face the fear and recognize it when it's happening within you, when it's happening within your mind, when it's happening within your emotions, within your body, right? Really become present to it and remind yourself that in that moment you have a choice and you become a warrior and you face it and you focus on clearing yourself. Breathe, feel, don't think in that moment so you can just clear yourself mentally, emotionally, just, right? Cut off the triggers so that you can come back into the centeredness of who you believe or choose to believe you really are. And that process is going to also help strengthen and continue to empower you in who you are and in your fearlessness. Because the more you fight those little fears and you choose not to engage with them, the more you do that, the more space you're creating for everything you're really here to do, and it's going to be step by step by step by step, but you will recognize this process and how far you've come if you really pay attention to that moment of choice. Oh, I'm not going to engage with that because it's going to disempower me. Come back into your breath. Come back into your presence, your clarity. Because you're meant to be fearless.
Yes, yes. And I'm just kind of chuckling along here because, you know, I recognize so much that there are moments that if you're, you know, stepping back in your own mind going, oh my God, but, you know, there was this time and I can't imagine having done any of this. That's kind of the fear of the fear going away, playing with you, and that actually might be a fabulous place for you to start instead of, you know, waiting until, okay, I really want to do some of these things and waiting for a fear moment. You can go back into your own memories and pretend that you're back there, try to get yourself into the same situation, or, you know, in viewing it, or, you know, and then pretend that you're laughing at it. Pretend at first that it doesn't bother you anymore. You know, it sounds kind of silly, but it's something that you can do to start feeling better and more in control of how to shrink the fear down, how to connect with your authentic self, and it gives your brain muscle memory, for lack of a better word, it'll start giving you a building block to grow on. So have some fun with that. Pretend you're 5 years old. I think I've said this before. You know, put your little crowns and your little capes on and go back in and just start laughing at the ridiculous situations or thought patterns that you've had to begin to get out of it. Really?
I love that, Sue. I love that. Yes, yes, yes. What an important point. Don't wait for it to happen. Get active. Get active with it now. It's so true. Yes, yes, yes. You know, and if you really think about, okay, so what do I really want to do? What do I want to do? And how do I want to show up as a human being in my life? And then once you get an idea of what that looks like or feels like, identify, just like Sue just said, what's in the way. Because remember, as long as it's blocking you, it's all fear-fueled.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely, Alberta. This has been really great, but you know what? We're out of time. We are out of we're over. So we need to we need to learn how to talk for a few moments here. I want to say thank you guys for joining us today, and really thank you so much for bearing with all of these incredibly funky little technical troubles that we had. You know, I know there's a lot of you that have hung in here with us through the whole time, so thank you guys so much, and we appreciate that. You know, again, use the question and answer box right into us. You know, if you've got questions, we definitely love to address them. Next week we're going to be starting to get into, or getting into, the snake oil salesman, as Jade put that, because that's such a huge topic and really important for everybody who's on this journey to have some really good solid information and ways to discern for yourself. So definitely join us next Wednesday at noontime, or come back and hit the replays. Those are always fabulous. But, you know, thank you for joining us, and I'm going to let Britta say goodbye now.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us and all the great questions, and for bearing with us here with all this technical madness. But you know, it's just such a joy to do these segments, and I'm looking forward to next week. And yeah, send in any questions, any examples even that you may have. You know, just because we're finishing this segment on fear does not mean we cannot revisit it, because remember, it all ties into the other aspects. So if you have a specific question relating to yourself, or an example of where it and how it shows up for you, or what worked for you, share it with us so we can share it with everybody else, with the world. And that's it for today. Have a happy Wednesday, and thank you so much, everybody, and thank you, Sue.
Thank you to you too, Britta. Oh, goodbye, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye now.
Bye.